Really?
So all the students do all the performance in the fall? Like, I mean, just the people dancing in the fall, do all the shows?
Well, they don't do the spring concert. You can do like the BFA.
But I mean, if you're in the fall one, you do every single performance during the fall.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll do like a double pass, like it has to I'm just like good at studying, so like I knew it was gonna be that.
What happened?
A combined 22 pages.
Anh nhìn sao mình lấy khác thì làm thêm không nghe thì làm thêm sau mất hay chủ đề thì hay nhưng vấn đề
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hi. So my name is Dr. Edna Jones-Miller, and I work here in the Center for Leadership and Civic Engagement. And I'm so excited that you all are here with me today. This is my first time doing a lunchtime leadership series, but I'm told that many of you have been here before. So if my style is a little bit different than what you're expecting, I apologize in advance, but maybe that's a good thing. So I work with student organizations here on campus, and I'm also an adjunct instructor in the leadership studies minor. So I think we're just gonna jump right into this. And first, before I do that, I want to make sure that we can agree to something. Can we agree that you'll talk back to me? Yes. Is that cool? Okay. So when I'm doing presentations, I really like to understand what you're thinking, how you're feeling. If you're flowing, give me a head nod, give me a no, a yes, or something, so I can kind of feel your energy, and that will help a lot. So we're going to talk about understanding yourself. And so I was given this topic and asked to talk about this. I do a little bit of this in my class. In my class that I teach is called Leadership and Social Change. Hi, come on in. And so in understanding yourself, we believe that it's important for you to know who you are in order for you to be able to lead anybody else. Is that valid? Is that cool? Okay, so I'm going to jump into this. Knowing oneself is the foundational bedrock of the journey into deeper leadership. So the presentation is really about you, okay? So the thing is that I don't really know you, but I'm going to do a lot of question asking. I'm going to ask you lots of questions to help you to self-reflect and figure out who you are. Now, I'm sure most of you know who you are. You know what your name is and where you're from. But some deep reflection and understanding who are you relative to your leadership style and how can you use that to effectively interact and engage with other people. All right? Here we go. So I have called this the hour of introspection, i.e. today's agenda, but that's what I wanted to call it. So we're going to talk about understanding yourself through these lenses. Consciousness of self. Have you ever heard of that? Can you raise your hand if you've ever heard of consciousness of self? Okay. The golden circle. Yes? No? Okay. And the hedgehog concept. So we're going to talk a little bit about these. So the caveat to this is that we've only got an hour. Actually, we've got less than an hour. But I'm going to be asking asking you some very deep and reflective questions. So don't feel bad if you don't immediately know the answer to those things. I put some paper down at your chair so that you can take some notes and give yourself some time to reflect on these questions a little bit later as we journey through leadership. All right, so I'm going to dive a little bit into consciousness of self. So essentially, this comes from an idea called the social change model. And the social change model is really based on how do we create positive social change through community, as a group, and as individuals. And one of the individual values of the social change model is consciousness of self, hence why we're talking about understanding yourself. So awareness of one's personality traits, values, strengths, and ability to be self-observers or mindfulness. That's what it means to be conscious of yourself, to understand who you are. But mindfulness goes a little bit deeper than just understanding who you are. It's really about understanding who you are in the present moment with all of what's going on around you. Who are you right now? So who is Edna Jones Miller right now in this present context as I am giving this presentation? What do I need to be aware of, and how do I use that to interact or engage with you, okay? So when you better understand yourself, you can better understand others. So I know Dolly Parton is probably not the best person to quote, but I thought it was nice. Find out who you are and do it on purpose, okay? So I want to drive home for you today that when we are understanding who we are, and we really kind of get that into the trenches of our being, then we are able to live on purpose. And we're able to lead with purpose in order to inspire others towards positive social change. I also wanted to add that the overall goals of consciousness of self are the following: to understand yourself better, to become more self-aware, and again, that mindfulness piece. So mindfulness, again, is not just being aware, but it's about understanding who you are in the present moment and how you are using that knowledge to engage or interact with others as you are leading, okay? So, I have a style, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I veer off a little bit, so I'm about to do that right now. Hopefully y'all are okay. But I have a favorite quote that I always like to share with people. And I don't always get it right, so I'm going to read this off the paper. But it's the two most important days of your life are when you were born and when you discover why. Okay? That is probably at the core of who I am, and understanding, always self-reflecting, who am I in this present moment, in this present time. So I have a 10-month-old daughter, so I'm different than I was before I became a mom. So in the context of where you are, what you are experiencing, taking into account your abilities, your experiences, what is happening in your life at that time, that's what you need to understand in order for you to lead and to live on purpose. Got it? Good? Head nod? Thank you very much. Okay. Now, so that is consciousness of self. This is what's called the golden circle. Let me see again who's heard of this before. No? Good. Okay, great. So the golden circle is an idea that comes from a guy named Simon Sinek who did a TED Talk. He also wrote a book, and he does many talks across the country. But he has this idea called the golden circle, which essentially emphasizes that some people know what they do, some people know how they do it, but few people know why they do what they do. So what he is saying is that we as leaders have to do a better job of understanding and articulating why we do what we do in order to inspire others to act towards positive social change, okay? So again, the what, he posits that everybody in the organization knows what we do. So raise your hand if you're in a student org or a community organization. Okay, so I'm sure if I were to ask you, what does your organization do? You can articulate to me what service or what product or what resource you provide, okay? I'm sure if I were to ask you, how do you do that? Well, we collect donations, or we give out food to the homeless, or you can tell me all of that. But if I ask you why, more than likely you'll answer me as to what you do. That's not what I asked you. I asked you, why do you do what you do? And so he posits that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, okay? So if you are in an organization that raises money for children with cancer, you can't just say, well, I'm raising money for children. You have to explain, why are you doing what you're doing? How do you get someone to buy into the fact that you are raising money to change somebody else's life? You would think that that would be real easy, that somebody would just give you $5 because you're raising money for children with cancer. Maybe not. More than likely, if you're outside the Marshall Student Center, they'll probably say no thank you and keep walking. How do you sell that and inspire others to act so that you inspire real positive change? So that is where he talks about emphasizing the why. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, okay? So what I would like for you to do is to think about this question, and I put little pieces of paper on your chairs. I think you're rolling back and y'all might not have any, but I'll get you some. I want you to take about 5 minutes or so to explore your golden circle. Now here's the thing. I've been asking you a very deep question, and I'm asking you to answer this question in 5 minutes. So I know that you will not really have the deep, reflective response that you feel like you want to have in this 5 minutes, but again, this is an hour of introspection, so we don't have a lot of time. So I just want you to delve into the surface response of this question. What does your golden circle look like? Think about a goal that you have that requires leadership in some capacity. Outline your personal golden circle. Okay? So can you take like a minute to do that, and I will come around and pass out some pieces of paper to those of you who do that.
Hi, absolutely.
Okay with struggling with the response. Be okay with that. will take about another minute. So, before I ask for brave volunteers, so start getting ready to share, one of the examples that Mr. Sinek used in his TED Talk video was Martin Luther King as to, in the context of how great leaders inspire action. He talked about Martin Luther King in his I Have a Dream speech. And so, in understanding that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, talk to me about what Martin Luther King wanted to do. Just what he wanted to do. Anybody, yell it. What did Martin Luther King want to do?
And racism.
End racism, okay?
Segregation.
I'm sorry, I heard somebody.
And segregation.
And segregation, okay? What else did Martin Luther King, do we know who Martin Luther King is? We know him? Oh, okay. What else did he want to do? Find social equality, absolutely. So that's what he wanted to do. Now, why did he want to do that? Talk to me about why he wanted to do those things.
Because he was tired of the injustices that Black people were feeling.
Okay, he was tired of injustices. What else? Why did he want to do what he was doing in order to inspire change?
He believed everyone was equal.
He believed that everybody was equal. Okay? What else? Thank you for that. What else? Why did he want to do what he wanted to do? I mean, we celebrate this holiday every January, and we march, and we have our statue out here at USF. Yeah.
Because he himself, as well as many others, he wanted them to,
That's okay.
he wanted them to, like, live the life, like a better, peaceful life that they deserve.
Yes, absolutely. So do you see the difference of the what and the why? So when we think about his why and the way that he framed his I Have a Dream speech, he said things like, I believe, I desire, I believe, I have a dream. He didn't say, according to Simon Sinek, this is what we need to do, and we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna end racism. Well, some people like being racist at that point. But he used very influential language in order to inspire others to act. So he would say, I believe. So when you're in your student organization, your community organization, wherever it may be, how do you inspire your organization to stop, let's just say, not showing up on time and not committing to the organization's purpose? How do you develop a vision and sell that vision in order to inspire change? So that's where we're kind of going with the golden circle. So what I would like, if you all, somebody, anybody, would like to volunteer and share what your golden circle looks like or sounds like. Do you have any brave souls? Yes, ma'am. And your name is?
Alexandra.
Alexandra, okay. And share with us what your golden circle is.
Well, I'm in the Bulls for Kids organization,
Okay, okay.
and what we do, we fundraise money to go towards the All Children's Hospital in St. Petersburg. How? By registering participants, promoting, and canning for donations.
Okay.
And why? I want to help make a difference in the thousands of children that have difficult medical problems, because it'll help them in many ways, and it'll help me feel like a better person.
Yeah. So when you're out there collecting that money and getting those cans, that's the response that you give to people. Not the we need to raise money for the children.
Yeah.
That is what you do, because I believe that this will help change somebody's life, and that will inspire other people to act. So thank you so much, Alexander, for sharing. All right, so that's a little bit on the golden circles. So kind of keep that in your back pocket as a resource. So that is lens number 2. So the first lens we talked about was the consciousness of self lens from the social change model. And then the second lens that we looked through was the golden circle. Now, before we get to the third lens, there's more thinking. So now I talked about how understanding yourself, there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of self-reflection that I want you to do. So I'm so sorry for making you participate and help me with this presentation, but I can't tell you who you are and I can't answer these questions for you. Only you can. So use your paper and you can jot down some notes or not. It's certainly up to you. But think about this. Answer, who are you and how do you describe yourself? What values do you live by and why are you here? I would always get questions, what do you mean, why am I here? Here in this class? No, here on earth. Why are you here and what is your purpose in this life? Think about that now. Again, I'm asking you to do that in 5 minutes. But these are huge, lifelong questions where the answers will evolve. But I just want you to think about that. Take some time and jot down that about yourself. And I will ask you to share. Okay. Remember that it's okay to struggle with your responses. That's how you get to know who you are. It's okay. Take about another minute. It's okay if you haven't gotten all the answers, that's fine. Okay, so as we move along to part 2 of this set of questions, so we know that middle school is a little bit of an awkward time. Who had a little bit of an awkward time in middle school identifying who you are? Okay, yes. So with that in mind, I would like you to take these 3 questions in context in your mind, and I'd like you to write to yourself, reflect on your own aspects of individual identity and how you answered those questions. What advice would you give to your 13-year-old self and why? Based on who you said you are and how you currently describe yourself, you sure you aren't that person at the age of 13. Your values were probably not the same at 13. Your set of experiences were probably not the same at 13. So what do you tell yourself to prepare yourself to get to this present moment at the age of 13? And why would you tell yourself that? Does anybody need more time? Anybody like extra with this one? So now, I would like you to, if you're comfortable, to share with your partner or person next to you what you would tell your 13-year-old self and why. Can you take a minute to do that? Go. Anybody
I'm Zach.
Hi, Zach.
Mine was like, it doesn't matter if you're popular or not, because like by the time you get out of high school, like nobody cares. Yeah, because like my middle school, the cool kids were the ones that like, hey, let's go Friday night and smoke some weed. And like I wasn't about that life. I was like, you guys do you, you know. And now that I think about it, like a lot of those kids, they're not as high achieving as like most of my friends who they're all in college with goals that know what they're doing. Whereas those kids are like, hey, you want to go smoke weed on Friday? Like 7 years later, doing the same thing, just chilling at home. So.
Wow. Yes, you know, this is really bad, so don't judge me. But that just brought back to my remembering something I saw on Facebook. I saw a little picture and it was a comparison of just that, of in high school or middle school, you have this cool guy and he's got the girlfriend, he's got the Letterman jacket on and all of that stuff, and he's doing whatever he wants to do, doesn't go to class. And then you look 10 years later on the picture at the bottom, and he's working at the little mill or something like that. So that just kind of helped me to understand that. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Zach. Anybody else would like to share? Yes.
So my name's Winifred.
Your name is?
Winifred.
Winifred. Yeah. I thought you said my name's whatever.
That's a new one. I'll add that one. Okay. But I told myself not everyone is meant to be your friend. And that's because like when I was in school, I was trying to be friends with everybody, you know, get everybody like to like me and stuff, but it doesn't work that way. Like sometimes people, they're not gonna like you no matter what you do. So
That's great. That's really excellent. I told myself that too. Anybody else want to share some facts? Yeah.
My name is Hassan, and to build on what Tasmin said earlier, I would say pretty much to my 13-year-old self that it's not really important what other people think about you, it's more about what you think about yourself.
Yeah, that is exactly right. Yes, ma'am.
I said, accept yourself and don't be ashamed of your choices no matter what. And like, just don't be so hard on yourself, but just learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. So let me ask you all this. Were you talking to your 13-year-old self in your 13-year-old mind as to what was going on? Or you were thinking about where you are now and what you kind of wish you already have?
No, I was thinking about my 13-year-old self.
Okay. Okay. Other thoughts?
Like from 13 till now, I think.
Okay. So you had it all kind of wrapped up in one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Was that him?
oh yeah. I'm Jenny, but
Jenny.
basically like it kind of like made me realize like I've grown a lot from my 13-year-old self, but I still have more growing to do. So it's like
Yes.
it's kind of like a benchmark where it's like, okay, I'm here. Where can I go from there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really, really good point. Okay, so that is kind of self-reflection. So what I want to point out with these questions, with that small activity, is that sometimes we are afraid to stop and think, okay? I don't know what it is about us, especially in America. It's something about busyness that just makes us feel like we're achieving. And it makes us feel like we're just getting stuff done because we always got something to do. And I'm guilty of that. But what I want to encourage you to do is to be okay with stopping and thinking and reflecting and being more mindful of your present state and understanding where you are, who are you, what are you trying to accomplish, where are you headed, how are you developing your journey, what values do you have, how have they changed based on a set of experiences that you may have had. So I want to encourage you to be okay with sitting and thinking. I got a huge problem with that, I'm gonna confess. Now I'm encouraging you to do something and I got a huge problem with that. Because I always feel like I should just be doing something. I got a class to get to, I gotta grade some papers, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And it makes me feel like, okay, I'm really achieving. But true visionaries and true leaders are mindful of where they are. And they are visionaries because they have stepped back and they've taken the time to really kind of grasp the big picture in order to develop a vision to inspire other people to act towards positive social change. So I just want to throw that out there for you to be encouraged and don't feel like being busy is the best thing for you and that's how you lead. That's not how we lead. We lead from a lens of visionary. That's what we do. So we're not afraid to take a step back and to think. It's okay to step back and just think. Let your mind be at ease with thinking, okay? All right, now, we've done that. The hedgehog concept. Now, we talked about consciousness of self, understanding who you are, being mindful in your present state. Then we moved on, and now we're going to talk about our third lens here, which is the hedgehog concept. So has anybody ever heard of the hedgehog concept? Okay, good. Have you possibly heard of a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins? Okay, well that's good. That gives me some context here. All right. So this is a book called Good to Great, and it's mostly used in the context of business leadership. But I happen to really like something called the hedgehog concept in this book. And this book is really about how good companies transition to great companies and the differences between good and great, okay? So our third lens is the hedgehog concept. And what I'm going to do to try to help you to understand what this concept means is I'm going to read an excerpt. But I would like you to envision what is happening during this excerpt. So in order to do that, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes as I read this excerpt so you can envision how and what is happening. All right? So, elementary school, we're in kindergarten, so I need you to close your eyes. Okay. Are you a hedgehog or a fox? In his famous essay, The Hedgehog and the Fox, Isaiah Berlin divided the world into hedgehogs and foxes, based upon an ancient Greek parable. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. The fox is a cunning creature, able to devise a myriad of complex strategies for sneak attacks upon the hedgehog. Day in and day out, the fox circles around the hedgehog's den, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. Fast, sleek, beautiful, fleet of foot, and crafty. The fox looks like the sure winner. The hedgehog, on the other hand, is a dowdier creature, looking like a genetic mix-up between a porcupine and a small armadillo. He waddles along, going about his simple day, searching for lunch and taking care of his home. The fox waits in cunning silence at the juncture in the trail. The hedgehog, minding his own business, wanders right into the path of the fox. Aha! I've got you now, thinks the fox. He leaps out, bounding across the ground, lightning fast. The little hedgehog, sensing danger, looks up and thinks, here we go again. Will he ever learn? Rolling up into a perfect little ball, the hedgehog becomes a sphere of sharp spikes, pointing outward in all directions. The fox, bounding toward his prey, sees the hedgehog defense and calls off the attack. Retreating back to the forest, the fox begins to calculate a new line of attack. Each day, some version of this battle between the hedgehog and the fox takes place. And despite the greater cunning of the fox, the hedgehog always wins. You can open your eyes. Based off of what you heard, let's think a little bit. Why would I read that to you? What in the world does that have anything to do with understanding yourself? Why would I read that to you? Any thoughts?
It's a metaphor.
Or? Hold on. It was over here somewhere. Back here, okay. It's a metaphor.
I said metaphor, for one of them is good and one of them is great.
Okay, there's no wrong answer, yeah.
Like she was saying, I felt like it was a metaphor, like we could either see ourselves as a fox or we could see ourselves as a hedgehog.
Okay, yeah, very good, thank you for sharing. Other thoughts? All right. So this is kind of where I'm going, and I'll explain to you what this means. So the point of me explaining that to you is the book talks about how it's important for you to stick with what you know, essentially. That's the simplicity of the matter. as a leader, it's important for you to stick with what you know. So here's the comparison. So you've got the fox, who is fast, and he is creative, and he comes up with all these different ways of attacking the hedgehog. And so every day he's coming up with something new, and he's trying to do this, and he's trying to do that, and he's just all over the place. And he keeps failing because the hedgehog is a little bit different. He's a little slower, may not be as creative, but he knows what he's good at. And he knows that, hey, I may not know anything else, but I do know me. I know my strengths, I know what I have, and I know that all I gotta do is ball up and shoot out my spikes, and then the fox is gonna leave me alone and he's gonna go away. So the hedgehog keeps doing the same thing over and over and over, because that is his simple leadership, for lack of a better term. That's his simplicity or his core competency, so he sticks with what he knows. But the hedgehog is just all over the place. He got all these things going on with no focus and no line of really target or strategic vision. So he just keeps trying all of this stuff and he keeps failing. And so what the book is encouraging us to do is to find out, what are we good at, okay? What are we passionate about? What can we be the best in the world at? And what can we make money from that will then have, that is supposed to be a bullseye, but I didn't know how to make one, so I tried to use a little clip art. So that little circle right there means that we have found our hedgehog concept, and we can stick to the simplicity of the matter and figure out who we are, what we're good at, how we can make a little money in this world. You know, we still got to eat. But the hedgehog concept is when you stick to your simplicity of the matter and do what you know you're good at. Okay? So that's the whole point of the hedgehog concept. When we figure out, who are you, what are you good at, and I need to put a little food on the table. Okay, so let's think about this for a little bit. Let's think about McDonald's, okay? So McDonald's is known for hamburgers, okay? But every now and then you might see McDonald's try to venture off a little bit and try to offer you some buffalo wings. Okay, well, that's not your core competency. That's not what you do. And you're getting outside of your line of focus by trying to do what everybody else does because it's working for them. So that goes back to you and understanding yourself, that you have to do what works for you in your own leadership style. Whether you're leading an organization or not, even as an individual person, you have to do what's best for you. Sometimes we might look at social media and we might look at Facebook and we see that our friends are doing some things that we think that we should be doing because we're the same age or we're in the same major, and they have put out here this false image of who they really are, because nobody's really going to put a picture on Facebook showing themselves frowning and just waking up out the bed and rolling up. They're not going to do that. They're going to show you the best impression of who they are, and so then we take that and we compare and we get outside of our core competency. And we get outside of our simplicity of who we really are and understanding ourselves as our own values, our own attributes, our own experiences, and developing our own path towards leadership for positive social change. And we start to compare ourselves to others and sometimes even try to compete with what other people are doing because we've perceived this vision of what they have kind of put out there for themselves. So in the hedgehog concept, he's encouraging you to figure out what you're passionate about. What drives you? What are you motivated to do? How can you use that to change the world? And when I say world, maybe we're not talking about the global world. We might be talking about your immediate realm of influence in just your 5 group of friends. Okay? So that's what we mean by the world. What are you passionate at? What drives you? What motivates you? What can you be the best in the world at, or best in your group at, or best in your organization at? What can you be the best at? Stick to that. Be simple. It's all about the simplicity of the matter. Stick to that. And then, perhaps, you may be able to make a little money. What can you make some money from And in my class, I use a book by a guy named Blake Lankowski. Anybody ever heard of Tom's Shoes? The little Tom shoes, cute little shoes. Okay, so what he does, he has found something that he's passionate about, which is he wants to change the world, but he makes shoes. And he seems to be the best in the world at it based on his model of which he makes shoes. And for every pair of shoes sold, he gives one to children. And he's got a model where he's able to make a little money from it. And so that is kind of the idea of the hedgehog concept, in that our whole goal is not to be on this earth to serve ourselves. We are here to serve other people. That's why we exist on this earth. So there is a gift in you, there is an attribute in you, a skill in you that you can use to help somebody else. And you can do that from a level of leadership that can change the world. Simple as that, okay? So what I'd like you to do, I'm running out of time, but is take a second, and I just want you to copy down this model. And the reason is because in the book, it took companies that went from good to great, took them years to figure this out. Like McDonald's, some of them thought they would be good at selling buffalo wings. That's just not what we do. So just copy that down and take some time later on to self-reflect and to not be afraid to stop and think about what you're passionate about, what you believe you can be the best in the world at, and how do you think that that can drive a little economic engine. And maybe it's not really about you putting food on your own table. It might be about an organization. How can you make money for your organization to keep your initiatives moving forward? So take a second and copy that down. And remember, that's the little bullseye that I really need to create very well. But when these three components intersect, that middle part then will drive you towards your hedgehog. So take a second to do that. Alright, so to wrap up again, can anybody tell me what was our first lens? What did we talk about first? Consciousness of self, very good. What was our second lens? The golden circle, very good. And our third lens is the hedgehog concept. So now, I want to just do a little bit of wrap up. So I'm sure that all of us may have heard this little statement of knowing thyself. So, you are a collection of your beliefs, your values, your assumptions, your experiences, your hopes, your dreams, your shoe size, your hair. Name it, it's you, okay? Be okay with that. Embrace who you are. And even if you don't necessarily understand all that you are right now in this moment, be okay with that. But acknowledge that and take some time to think about it to really be able to articulate and answer those questions later on. So I want to leave you with this, to be who you are and do good work with passion and purpose, okay? So we're not about mediocrity. We're not about just doing something lackluster because we're just trying to get it done. But we live on purpose, we lead with purpose, we understand who we are, and we use that in the context of engaging effectively with others towards positive social change. Now, I want to show you this video, and really what I like about it is the words, okay? So it's not very visually appealing that much, so please forgive me. But I just thought that it was so empowering and so encouraging. So I want you to just take a look at this video very quickly. Hopefully the internet is working. And just pay attention to the words. And if there's something that stands out to you, that encourages you, that makes you feel empowered, I encourage you to jot it down. So let's see if this works well.
Disappointing it might have been that that dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible. That some of you already know that it's hard. It's not easy. It's hard changing your life. That in the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain. There are moments when you're going to doubt yourself and say, God, why is this happening to me? I'm just trying to take care of my children and my mother. I'm not trying to steal or rob from anybody. Why does this have to happen to me? For those of you that have experienced some hardships, don't give up on your dream. There are rough times are going to come, but they have not come to stay. They have come to pass.
Greatness is not this wonderful, esoteric, elusive, God-like feature that only the special among us will ever taste. You know, it's something that truly exists in all of us.
It's very important for you to believe that you are the one. Most people, they raise a family, they earn a living, and then they die. They stop growing, they stop working on themselves, they stop stretching, they stop pushing themselves. That a lot of people like to complain, but they don't want to do anything about their situation. And most people don't work on their dreams. Why? One is because of fear. The fear of failure. What if things don't work out? And the fear of success. What if they do and I can't handle it? These are not risk takers.
You spend so much time with other people. You spend so much time trying to get people to like you. You know other people more than you know yourself. You study them. You know about them. You want to hang out like them. You want to be just like them. And you know what? You've invested so much time in them, you don't know who you are. I challenge you to spend time by yourself.
It's necessary that you get the losers out of your life if you want to live your dream. But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning.
When you become the right person, what you do is you start separating yourself from other people. You begin to have a certain uniqueness. As long as you're following other people, as long as you're being a copycat, you will never ever be the best copycat in the world. But you will be the best you can be. I'm telling you to define your value.
That everybody won't see it. That everybody won't join you. That everybody won't have the vision. It's necessary to know that you're an uncommon breed. It's necessary that you align yourself with people and attract people into your business who are hungry, people who are unstoppable and unreasonable, people who are refusing to leave life just as it is and who want more. The people that are living their dream of finding winners to attach themselves to. The people that are living their dreams are the people that know that if it's going to happen, it's up to them.
If you want to be more successful, if you want to have and do stuff you ain't never done before, number two, I'm asking you to invest in you. To invest in you.
Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. That you don't have to go through life being a victim. And even though you face disappointments, you have to know within yourself that I can do this. Even if no one else sees it for me, I must see it for myself.
This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it. Period.
No matter how bad it is, or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it.
I want to represent an idea. I want to represent possibilities.
And some of you right now, you want to be, you know what I'm saying, you want to go to the next level. I want to counsel, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a doctor. Listen to me, you can't get to that level. You can't get to the level economically where you want to be until you start investing in your mind. You're not reading books. I'm challenging y'all to go to college. I dare you to invest time. I dare you to be alone. I dare you to spend an hour getting to know yourself. When you become who you are, when you become the person that you were created to be, designed to be who you were designed to be, when you become an individual, what you do is you take yourself and you start separating yourself from other people. I tell you, get to a place where people don't like you, they don't even bother you no more. Why? Because you're not concerned with trying to make them happy. Because you're trying to grow up. You're trying to get to the next level. I need you to invest in your mind. Invest in your mind. If you still talk about your dream, if you still talk about your goal, but you have not done anything, just take the first step.
That you can make your parent proud, you can make your school proud, you can touch millions of people's lives, and the world will never be the same again because you came this way. Don't let nobody steal your dream. As we face a rejection and a no, or we have a meeting and no one shows up, or somebody says you can count on me, and they don't come through. What if we have that kind of attitude because we possess? Nobody believes in you. You've lost again and again and again. The lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day and saying to yourself, it's not over until I win.
Alright, so that is my message to you. That it's not over until you win. That you can take the time, like he was saying, to invest time in yourself. Understand who you are, what your values are, what you want to do, where you want to go, and who you want to be, and how you want to change this world. And I guarantee you that you'll figure out how to do that. And so with that, what I want you to do, you don't have to, but I just wanted to show you this as a next step, that if you are thinking about what to do now, I want you to keep thinking about you. That's all I want you to do. Think about these questions. You can take them down if you want to. I'll leave them up. But just think about these questions relative to where you want to go, what motivates you, and begin to better understand yourself. Other than that, if you can make sure that you complete the survey before you leave, I thank you so much for your time and attention. Again, I'm Edna Jones-Miller, and thank you so much. Have a good day. You can leave your surveys up here at the front desk. You can just turn them over. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your participation. Thank you. You're welcome. Have a good day. Hi. I'm good. How are you? Okay, I think you will. Only we can get that on the numbers on that. Okay, thank you. It's called Green Dash and it's 6 minutes and 19 seconds. So that's how you would know the difference if you see any stream. Okay, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you for your participation as well. Have you ever seen it? It's recorded.
I don't know. No? Yes? I don't know how to tell.
I want to share that with the whole world right now. Oh, good. No, literally, like I'm glad you liked it. Good.
Because I've seen motivational videos, but this one, they always have like the best music.
Yeah, everything is good.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you
so much.
Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Yeah,
email resend,
Okay.
or I'll send the assessments.
Okay.
They're sending out all of you out there.
Sometimes it gets really emotional.
Yes.
I almost. My name is like, a couple of them, nice meeting you. Well, yeah, I've seen you.
Oh,
This
this
was
is
awesome.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time.
Bye, thank you so much.
Bye-bye, nice to meet you. Remember what I said?
Yeah, make sure you do another talk like that.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, you can leave it at the table.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, good. I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. Okay. Let me clean
So
up.
next semester, you said,
Oh my goodness, don't you?
you just think about it.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Do you need anything from me?
I do not.
Okay, you'll get these evaluations sent to you.
Okay.
Revision session.
Oh, you type them out and all that stuff? Oh, well, somebody type them out?
April assesses them, we have a Excel sheet that we fill them in.
Okay.
So I'll send you that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
We'll also let you know when the video is uploaded to YouTube.